May 21st, 2023. You're listening to Oblast with Don and Kevin, and I'm Kevin.
And I'm Don.
And we're back. It's
Here we are.
Bottom of May. Feeling like almost the end of, or middle of 2023. Not the end, thank God.
Right.
Thinking it's not been too bad of a year. It's not been a great year, but it's not like the COVID years. Which
best years of my life.
Yeah, those were painful years.
Oh, good.
It's like a totally different world when that was.
You didn't have to see anybody then. You didn't have to see anybody, and you had a built-in excuse.
Yeah,
it was so awesome.
It was weird. I don't think the whole year. I think by summer I was out, but I think like that winter, when it was basically like everybody has to stay in and don't see anybody else. I was kind of like, all right.
Right.
Like, I mean, I wasn't, there's a little bit of paranoia in your head, like how long is this going to go on for and all this sort of stuff. But I just kind of felt like, you're asking me just to kind of hermit myself in. I can do that.
I'm allowed to stay in and not talk to people, and it's okay.
Right.
Fuck, man. I've been waiting for that all my life.
It's not a big lift to make me play video games and sit at home, eat takeout food, and I had plenty of toilet paper. I was stocked up on toilet paper, so that wasn't an issue for me. I wonder if there was somebody out there that was like, I gotta wipe my ass.
Right. There's some dude, he's in his house, he's like calling stores. He's like,
where the fuck
I've been holding this. I don't want to go because I got nothing. He's like, I don't have any old socks.
He's like at McDonald's and shit. He's like, can I have some napkins? We don't got any napkins.
You're not allowed in, sir. Stay outside.
So crazy, man.
If let's put it this way: if somebody was that desperate during COVID times that they didn't have any toilet paper, they probably were people that ran low anyways. You know what I mean? They were probably the people that like sat down on the can and then looked and was like, "Oh, the roll's empty." It's like, really? You didn't know? And then they look around and they go, "Oh, I don't have any more in the house. That was the last one." It's like, yeah, you're not going to survive.
There was a fairly large group of people based on, what I was reading online at the time that honestly thought that the military was going to come in and shut down like everything, force people to stay home and not come out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so they were stocking up. They were like, they're coming and they're not going to let us out. And so I got to get all the food and the toilet paper because I got to survive. They got into this prepper mode and stuff, not really thinking about how logical that would be. Like, in essence, like how that would ever work. I mean, I don't know if any country, I can't think of really any country just off the top of my head that ever did something like that. Like any country. Like
There was that video that went around of like that neighborhood or whatever where the police were walking down the street and they're like, "Get in your house." and everybody's like on their porch. They're like, "We're on our porch." And they're like, "Get in your house." And they're like, "Well, I don't want to go in my house." They're like, "Get in your house." And they started like shooting with pellets or whatever.
Right. Like Australia, I think had like kind of a pretty heavy lockdown. Obviously China had neighborhoods that were completely locked down. People could,
New York.
But they could go out like once a day to go shopping. Yeah, New York, they weren't completely.
That's because there's so many people on top of each other. You know what I mean? It's like, they were like, you gotta chill with as many people as you got there.
Right. But I still think like in general, like locking down the entire country, like, you know what I mean? Like, how are you going to get like everybody locked down? Like, you're going to go out into the bayou and stuff and be like, "Hey, you in the swamp, stay where you are. Don't leave your little cabin."
In the futuristic movies where like the government takes over and the world's like a concentration camp or whatever, and everybody's just slaves to the government stuff. They never really show you how they got to that position. and maybe that's it. You know what I mean? Maybe that was like if the movie had a prequel, they'd be like, "All right, everybody, there's a disease. Get in your house." And that's how it all started, like Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, but it's completely impractical because in order for like the country to let's just say there's like a a secret order. You know what I mean? And they're like they're trying to like control everything, like shadow people in the background. Like
Tony Stark.
Like these people, like what do they want? Like what they want? Money and power, right? Money and power. That's what they want, right? They may be some women, but they want money and power.
Or men.
Yeah, sure. And the thing is it's like if everybody's locked up, you're not gonna make any money. So that ruins half their plan right there. I mean, what do they have power? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, but then they all think, I think the conspiracy people start thinking that everybody's going to get like liquidated or something. Like people are going to come around with death squads and just start lowering the population or something. I mean, it's just all bananas. But I just think like, hopefully we don't have to deal with this again in our lifetime. Hopefully that was like our 100-year thing. Some generation in the future can deal with it. But you never know right now with this world economy and the way these diseases are going around. Plus, if it was released by China, like they say, I mean, what's to stop them from being like, we release another one?
Yeah, right. I mean, if they did it the first time, why didn't they just do a bigger one the next time? Right. Be like, oh, you know what? That first one worked pretty well.
Except we accidentally released here. This was bad plan.
Everybody's like, the rich people are the ones who are like shutting everything down. And it's like, yeah, I bet you they all got together and they were kind of like, hey, you know what? We got all our money in the stock market. Why don't we just go ahead and crash that? Right.
Yeah, that's why. Exactly. Yeah. And there's just, there's too many, there's way too many people involved. Like, think about Nixon, right? So he was the president and he was like, the super powerful guy. He's the president of the United States. Right?
Heck yeah.
And he sends, there's that HBO thing. I haven't really watched it, but it's sparking a memory in me about how like they broke into the Democrats' offices, which was in the Watergate building. That's why you hear about Watergate. Yeah. And his guys went in there to look for what kind of dirt they had on Nixon, basically. And, that turned into a big thing. And ultimately Nixon had to resign over it and stuff like that because he couldn't hide that. You know what I mean? Like, he couldn't hide that breaking and entering from some dudes. Basically, nobody knew who they really were or anything. And he could do that. Clinton, they're always talking about Clinton being all powerful. He couldn't hide Monica Lewinsky. How hard would it have been to just, if he was like some Illuminati leader, how hard would it have been if he just rub her out? Just eliminate her. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if he was some sort of like super, Illuminati guy, like, why would he pick Monica Lewinsky? Right? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Why didn't his brother have a better musical career? You know what I mean? If he was with the Illuminati, he could have been like, hey, man.
I think it says people actually want to find like really good reasons for why things are happening because they can't accept that it's basically all due to incompetence. Like it's just a bunch of people that like the president of the United States, like I think in our head and other leaders around the world, I think in our head, we like to think of these people as being like different than us. Like, they get up at like 4 a.m. They start working all day. They go running. They
go to the gym.
Yeah. The gym. They're just living a life where they just, they can talk to anyone with it. And in reality, they're probably just like you and I. I mean, they're probably just like, I don't really feel like getting up today. They're like, his wife's probably just like, you gotta get up. You're the president. Get out of bed. And just, Jesus Christ. All right. You know what I'm saying? And then all these people just tell him what to say and do. Just, you got to say this, sir. He says, is this the right, are you sure this is the right thing to say? Well, I mean, probably.
It might be.
I don't know. I mean, it's like we think they're just being briefed on stuff, but I just think they're they're pretty average. They're probably just pretty normal people. I mean, they're that salesman suit wearing kind of guy we all run into here and there. But that's it. I mean, they're and they all get busted. Like all politicians are always getting busted with all kinds of This one guy just got busted for smoking crack outside the courthouse or something like that. One of the council members.
There you go.
You got prostitutes. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. And so then all of a sudden these guys are like the masterminds. Like they're just like, yes. And now we have rape dungeons and shit. You're just like, I don't know. This is ridiculous.
We got islands. it's funny when people like you said, people just like and they jump on these conspiracy theories and all this stuff like that, and they're just like, well, the government's doing this and they're doing this and they're doing that, and it's like uh if it's controlled by like some secret organization, right? That's like controlling puppet, like everybody's a puppet to them, and they control everything. What am I gonna do?
Well, yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
that's the other half of it. That's exactly.
It's like what's convincing me that there is another organization? Well, okay,
Right.
now what?
Yeah, I
You know what
had
I
a
mean?
buddy that was really into. He told me about this. I didn't know him at the time. I worked with him, but he told me that he was really into the 9/11 conspiracies. Right, like that the planes
Right.
were whatever. Obviously, they really hit the buildings, but they were maybe flown by agents or Israeli agents or something, and all this kind of stuff. And then eventually somebody, I don't know if it was his dad or somebody, just asked him. He's like, "Okay, so let's say all of this is true. What are you going to do about it?"
Right.
And he kind of was like, I don't know. I guess nothing, it's
Yeah.
because like, but
People,
but it goes beyond that. I think it's just like it if you really sit down and just think about things, and this is the problem. Like, I don't think people can, like, or they don't want to, or something. They
Right.
want to accept things to be, I don't know, the easier way in their head. Like, it's like a movie in their head. Like, like there's a few guys, there's some computers, there's some special agents, and they're like, go do this and knock this guy out and come back and talk.
Right.
And it's just like,
Man in the shadow.
but like you just think, okay, let's say if that's real. Okay, well, who's giving those guys a paycheck? Like, where are they getting their money from? Who's
Right. Who's the top guy?
right? What do they got? Human resources for that kind of shit? Like, they're just doing cash. You don't know. They got briefcases. Well, they got to get it out of the bank. I mean, there's like all kinds of people that are going to talk about it, and what if one guy like fucks up? Like, and they never do. I guess they never fuck up. Like, all of those things they do, they never screw up, and they never get busted for anything. Except for the stupid stuff, the real small stuff, the big major, conspiracy shit. They managed to get away with all of that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, I mean, like take Area 51, which is I think it's like Groom Lake Air Force Base or something. Like, everybody knew that Area 51 was there, but nobody had seen it because the government put up signs that said you can't come over here or we'll shoot you, right? It's national security kind of thing. And they would just sit there and be like, oh, I don't know, there's nothing. It's open desert. You know what I mean? But everybody knew that there was stuff over there. But of course, everybody's just like, they got UFOs over there, man, and stuff. And you're just like, okay, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I can't go there and find out for myself. If I was president, it'd probably be one of the first things I would do. I would just get on the plane and be like, let's go over there. And they'd be like, no, you can't go over there. And I'd be like, hold on, I'm president. We're going. Right. And then, you know what I mean? And that's when they reveal that they're aliens or something. But the thing is it's like, then we had this deal with the Soviet Union where we were like, in order to monitor each other's nuclear capability, we allowed, and we both had satellites and we were both taking pictures of each other's, land, that we said, hey, we're going to take pictures of you. You can take pictures of us. We're not going to set up any new nuclear weapons. You can take pictures of whatever and find out. So when that happened, well, next thing you know, this is when the internet was really new. But next thing you know, boop, there's pictures of Area 51 on the internet because now it was, not declassified, but you could take a picture and post it. And now we see that it was there. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, it's like, no, as far as I could tell, no UFOs, no alien civilization there, nothing like that. I don't know. These, I mean, aliens could be real. I mean, they could be, and it is possible, I suppose, that, if you look at, we talked about this before, but like, I did in one of the earlier Oblasts, but where like faster than light travel isn't like possible, but that's based on Einstein's special relativity theory. And if you don't, like, the thing about that is that Einstein's, main theory breaks down at the quantum level. So there may be something where we could get around it, you know something fascinating? I was watching this thing
What?
on YouTube, and I have a barely understanding of all of this, but so okay,
Here we go.
yeah, I'm going to try not to lose you. It's going to be short.
Oh,
I hope.
you're going to lose me. Don't worry about it.
No, it's going to be short. So, all of the matter in the universe, right, is like at the quantum, at the real low level stuff, right? It's like a particle, or they call it a wave, and you can think of the wave as kind of like almost like like dropping a water droplet in water, right? There's ripples in the water, and this is really tiny stuff. This is like tinier than everything else, but it's like particles, and then you got waves. And sometimes there's waves and there's no particles. And some people think particles are just a different way of measuring than waves. It doesn't matter. Here's the thing. So our out in outer space, or all around us as well, basically the universe, right? There is a constant sort of wave that comes through. It's called the Higgs field. And you could almost think of it like a frequency on a radio dial. Might be the easiest way to think about it, right? There's like a certain frequency on the radio dial that's like, 110, megahertz or something. And that's like the Higgs field. And it just kind of is out there. And that is like space. That's like what we're floating around in. Now, if you know as well as I do that space is empty, it's a vacuum, darkness, whatever, but there's this Higgs field that sort of defines it. And scientists with their big collider wanted to prove that the Higgs field existed because it was just theoretical. So they were smashing atoms together and all this kind of stuff with their collider, and they were looking for a piece of the Higgs field, which they called the Higgs boson. And I guess they found it. They're not even really sure they found it. They say they did, but it's mostly it's all math. It's like, we got all this math here, and look at that. And they all clap for each other and stuff. Who knows? I don't know what good any of this does.
There was much rejoicing.
But the thing, so that part of it's not that interesting. But the interesting thing I learned was, okay, we've heard that everything has mass, right? Like, yes, on Earth, I weigh like, 200 and some pounds, right? That's because the Earth is pulling me down. And if you stick a scale between me and the Earth is going to be like the Earth is pulling you down like 200 some pounds, right? But if you take me off into space, there's no gravity, right? So you can't put a scale underneath me. But yet, that my body has a mass, and it's, it's dense up to whatever, the formula would be, the whatever of my mass, based on my weight, whatever. Well, the interesting thing is like, most of what we're made out of, like at the tiny level, right? It's the neutrons and electrons and everything. Those don't actually weigh much of anything. They don't really weigh anything. Like they don't have weighing is the wrong word. They don't have much mass. And so like you and I are, in terms of like our actual mass, is like very insignificant. What actually causes us to have mass is kind of an illusion in a way, but at the very small level, like below the atom, right? You got these quarks and things are being like held together, inside like the neutrons and the electrons and stuff. And what's holding them together is called the nuclear binding force. I don't know what that is. I haven't looked into that. I've heard of it before. I mean, I think like it almost sounds made up. I mean, but that's a
No,
thing,
that sounds awesome.
right? It's
Nuclear binding force.
right. So the smallest things, because otherwise, like if you didn't have this binding force, then these things would just fly off from each other, right? Like what holds all of our atoms and everything together? Like your fingers attached to you, but like at the smallest level, right? They're not really, all that stuff's not connected. So it's like, why doesn't your finger just like fly off, right?
Yeah.
So there is a nuclear binding force that holds it there. And the nuclear binding force sort of drags across the Higgs field. And that causes mass. That is what mass is. A big ass planet spinning around has a massive amount of mass, and it's dragging itself around the Higgs field. And so how that gets into faster than light travel, one of the theories is basically that, if you could figure out a way to not have the nuclear binding force drag across the Higgs field, then you would kind of be outside of Einstein's special relativity there, because you wouldn't be impacted by the space-time continuum thing, and you would be able to travel faster than the speed of light. No, there's other obstacles there. As how do you get up to that amount of speed? That's an issue. How do you avoid going that fast and then hitting like a grain of sand in space somewhere and just exploding your whole ship into pieces because the velocity? I get all that. But there's just some interesting science there, because I never really, I don't know. I just figured I ate a lot of Taco Bell. This is my mass.
Yeah, here
right?
I am.
And that's because of all of the particles my body's made out of. But in truth, most of it is actually energy. We're mostly made up of energy due to the nuclear binding force. It's fascinating. Okay, that's all I'd really say about that. But I think you kind of followed me on that. It's kind of just fascinating. But I don't know what I'm going to do with any of that information.
I don't know.
I'm really not going to build anything.
I heard you.
Yeah, or go anywhere with that. It's not going to take me anywhere. I'm not going to be, not going to be much of anything with them. Yeah. Did I mention I signed up for school again? I signed up for school. I'm taking one class a quarter. It's going to start in June.
Taking a computer class so you can get an easy A.
I'm taking a leadership, management and leadership kind of thing, business leadership degree kind of thing. Don't need it. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's good to have kind of thing, but
I don't need it.
I mean, nobody's asking me for it. I'm not applying for any jobs that use it. I don't. So so right now I don't need it. Down the road, I mean, I'm 51, right? By the time I get the degree, I'm going to be getting close to retirement, So it's kind of like, I mean, I've transferred my credits from my associates into it, but it's kind of like, I don't know. I like learning. I like learning, and I like to, keep up to date on stuff. And I just feel like, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how it is. It's regular college. It's online though, but it's not like bullshit college. It's like all legit. But I figured with 2 jobs, I needed one more thing to do on top of taking care of my house. Right. Yeah. I don't know.
You could be watching Barry like I told you to do.
I did. I watched the first 3 episodes of it. It's pretty good.
It's all right. Kind of quirky.
He's quirky. I like him. I forget his name all the time.
Bill Hader.
Yeah, Bill Hader. Because he's really good at impersonations. And
his Alan Alda is amazing.
But not that he's doing that on that show. But
no.
But yeah, no, it's pretty good.
I like the bald dude, NoHo Hank.
Oh.
Hey, Barry, what's going on? The Chechen or whatever.
Like his friends get all wasted, and he's still kind of upbeat. Yeah. He got shot, and he's still kind of like, Anyway. Yeah. Yes. All right. So, one other thing I wanted to talk about is there was a shooting recently. I mean, there's always shootings lately. This one I noticed was this kid. He had a rifle, and he was I don't know if he was shooting out his window or shooting over a garden wall, and he was shooting at cars going by. And he ended up killing 3 old ladies. And cops came and had a bit of a gun battle with him, and then he just basically said, kill me, basically, and they did. And it makes me wonder, like, I don't want to talk about guns anymore, but it makes me wonder about this weird kind of suicide that is going on with a lot of these kids. Because, like, when you and I were growing up, kids would just, if they were depressed, they would kill themselves. We had a friend that did. But like, I couldn't see our friend arming up, going into school and laying waste to people. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm taking all you with me.
Right. Don't see that happening with him, etc. But there seems to be like a weird trend, and it's weird. I'll only say this about the gun aspect of it, is that it seems sort of copycatish that they're all taking guns and going into schools, right? Because there's a few of them we've read about where they take their cars and run through a crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not usually kids, but it's usually some adults doing it. But and of course there's adult shooters everywhere. Those kind of crazy guys. That shit goes back, at least to the 60s. Guys shooting up places and stuff. We get more of it now, but whatever. But with these young people, I'm a little bit dumbfounded about it, because I get lashing out, right? We've all been there. We've been pissed. We've had people pick on us, ridicule us, made us feel depressed, made us feel down and bad. And some, we know people that have had it really bad, right? And you could see the anger and the want for revenge, etc. But like, you don't see that really happening too much. Like take Clay Bolden Harris, Columbine, right?
Oh, I was like, what? Who?
That's all right. You probably shouldn't know their names, but I got a weird memory.
You say Columbine, I know what you're talking about. But
yeah,
the name's out.
Clay Bolden Harris. They got picked on by jocks, right?
Right.
And they basically wanted to go in and kill the jocks. But they basically just killed whoever they wanted to. They let a couple people go that they knew, but they basically just shot at everybody. You know what I mean? Like, they were just killing wantonly at people, and that seems to be the trend. And that to me is also kind of weird, right? Because, like, I could tell you, like, when I was in school, or like when you were, I'm sure people that you would consider you were bullied by, or I was bullied by. I could see going into school. I don't say I could see. I can understand somebody going into school and wanting revenge on a bully and being like, pulling out a gun or even a knife or something and then taking revenge on that person. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, of course. But what I'm saying is that to me, I can take the step from here to there, right? But I can't see the scenario where you also are like, you know what? I'm going to shoot Miss Kebabchik, or I'm going to shoot Miss Bernard while I'm here too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't understand. Like, you're going to just start nailing off other people all of a sudden, like you're like the Joker or something. You know what I mean? Like you're out of your fucking mind. And I get that they probably are out of their minds. But I guess I'm just struggling to understand where this comes from, where, like, there's a lot of these ones where the young person, because sometimes they're not even kids, they're like 18, 19, 20. They get the gun, then they go to the school. They go to like a fucking elementary school and start killing kids, right? I think we just had one of those recently, but there's been a series of those. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what are you doing? Like, I know somebody could sit there and say, like, it's the notoriety, I guess. But I mean, at this point, like, there's been so many of these, like, your name doesn't even, it doesn't register really anymore. Like, you're not even doing anything. Like, we don't know who you are. Who did the last 3 shootings? I named Clay Bolden Harris because Columbine was a big deal, right?
Right. I was like, yeah.
And you might be able to name like a couple other names that I might be able to maybe pinpoint them. But the most, like, fucking probably the last dozen or more, I don't know who the fuck did them. You know what I mean? It's just another, It's just
No idea.
right. It's just a nobody. You're a nobody. You don't have any notoriety. You're going to end up just being a passing Wikipedia article.
Yeah.
And really,
They don't think that though.
we should we shouldn't even give them one. Really, we should probably just give the victims one and not immortalize these people. But whatever. I don't make the rules. No, I get it. They think that, but
Because they're crazy. They're not thinking straight. That's the problem.
Well,
you know what I mean?
yeah, but they're planning something out. I mean, it's taking them a series of days. They're not just waking up. I mean, maybe one person, or some of them are okay. Some of them are going just like I'm going to go kill people right now, and they're just losing it. Yeah. But there's other ones drawing maps, making lists, buying body armor, picking up guns at the store. They're prepping for it, and it's like I don't get. What I get that they're crazy. I get all that, but I don't get what's in it for them. And I don't understand why it's repeating itself.
Right.
Because it's mystifying to me. Like, I don't want to just, I guess what I'm saying is I don't want to just blow it off to people being nuts. Like, they're all crazy. Fuck them. I get, but we've dealt with crazy people all the time. I mean, we have this weird sort of copycat mentality ever since Columbine of shooting up schools, and it seems to me like it's being done to maximize the amount of pain that they put on the community, kind of thing. Like they're like, my life sucks. I hate everybody, and that's around me, etc.
Right.
Everybody's
a jerk.
Make you all suffer.
Right.
Like I feel I'm suffering. And so if you love this kid or these are your family and everything's great for you, well, fuck you. I'm killing all of you, and I'm going straight to hell or whatever. And okay. It just seems like, I don't know. Maybe it's just my mentality. Like my mentality is such that if I was going to go crazy, plan out something to kill some people kind of thing, I'd probably try to do something productive. I'd probably try to make some sort of political statement or something. You know what I mean? I'd be like, I'd try to take out something, that's I don't know, that's like an issue or something that, somebody's, take you and I were in the middle of the 1% movement down in New York, right? So you got all these people. Yep. We got all these people, rioting in a way. Mostly just marching and I don't know,
milling about,
talking to people about
yelling and screaming and people chanting.
Right, their economy's bad and everything. And I can't say for sure. I'm just going off memory. There may have been one or two incidents with weapons or something. I don't know, but I think for the most part it was pretty peaceful. Like at least to the point where I don't know any rich people that were shot and killed over it. Right. Yeah, but that's what they were protesting. They were protesting the 1%, And so if your life is that bad and stuff, why wouldn't you go and, enact your revenge on those people? You know what I mean? But they're going for the low hanging fruit. They're going for the most innocent, safe, shock value or something of killing, children. And I just can't get I guess it's good that I can't get my brain around it. I mean, right? It's I'm glad I don't have whatever that is that they have.
Then I wouldn't, because if that's for me, if I was like that, I wouldn't have thrown a basketball at Bill Fielder's head.
Right.
I would have come back. You know what I mean? It's I don't want to say that the kids nowadays are weak, because they're not. It's not that. It just seems different. We got bullied. I got bullied. I told my girlfriend about this. She was just like, "What?" I was like, "I was bullied all through elementary school, into middle school, through high school." I was like, "That's just what it was." You know what I mean? There were people who just fucking irritated me and fucking gave me shit, and it's like, yeah, I wanted to do something about it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I sat at home and was like, dude, if I had a gun, I would walk in. It was never anything like that. It was just it was mostly for me. It was just like, just leave me alone. Like
Right.
just don't talk to me.
Well, I
Just
think
go.
that's probably still the majority of kids that get bullied in schools all across the country. They're not all getting guns and doing something, but we all know that bullying is going on everywhere,
Yeah,
and I think that the number of gun related deaths are few and far between. Right? Like I was kind of arguing to no avail that my community's high school didn't really need a metal detector, because I get that parents want their kids to be safe in school. I totally understand that. But I don't agree with the facade of safety, right? Because as we know, when shooters come, they're not, for the most part, unless there's some kids I think just want to get caught. That's a cry for attention.
right.
They put the gun in the bag, they get caught with the gun. Okay. But the kids that come to kill, they're shooting their way through the door. Right? Your security guard, who's probably some overweight middle-aged guy sitting in a chair because he's been doing the metal detector thing for fucking, years, right? Isn't thinking anybody's coming. He's not ready for anybody to come. And then all of a sudden, horror of horrors, he's dead. And the metal detector's going beep as the kid walks through with the gun, rifling people down. And so I feel like this kind of thing is not real security for parents, and I think parents deserve to know that when they let their kids go, that their kid is going to be safe. But you also have to think death will get you anywhere. You know what I mean? There should be a reasonable amount of security, but look, you're going to take that kid someplace where the shooter can't get them. You're eventually going to take them someplace where he can, right? So, yeah, he's not going to be able to get into the school that day. So then he's going to start shooting kids at recess. You get rid of recess, he's going to go to the daycares. You know what I'm saying? If that's their end goal, you can't get enough security and everything to do it. But, of course, some presence would at least make it so it's not such a soft target. Okay. But I just think, when we were in high school, and this is high school, but when we were in high school, we had to see the guidance counselor once. Some people saw him all the freaking time. I don't know. It seemed like some kids just knew the guidance counselors really well. I don't know what they were doing. Were they going in there and just getting psychological help all the time from the guidance counselor? I don't know. I'd see Mr. Delicio and stuff like that. I think I sat in his office one time, the entire time I was in high school. Nice guy. Talk to him and everything. But I think would it be real hard for schools to just, maybe have guidance counselors or something like that, engage with kids more frequently? And some schools might be doing this now, but in order to sort of figure out which kids are actually, potential terrorists, and then try and work with them to try to figure out, what's going on and how to defuse some of the situations, because I feel like a lot of these kids are just completely isolated. They're just totally alone, they're left to go to, going back to Klebold and Harris, their parents didn't seem that much know what they were doing the entire time. Right. They just had guns under the bed, making their plans, going out, buying weapons, going shooting, all this sort of stuff. And, other kids in the school knew a lot of what these kids were up to and what they were doing. And it's I understand rumor. You can't just pull some kid out over something. But if somebody was actually paying attention to the kids, talking to the kids, finding out who the bad kids were and this sort of stuff, you would at least be able to kind of, get a communication thing going and maybe be able to intervene with some of these kids and talk to them and show them, there's other options and other ways of doing things. So maybe you could avoid all of this kind of stuff. I don't know. And I think that, I guess what I'm saying is if there was maybe more engagement with, and I haven't been to school in 30 some years. So I know that things have changed and kids are a lot more organized and there's a lot more, parent teacher involvement with a lot of students and all this sort of stuff. I get it. Yet in the inner city schools, I don't know how much that works because there's still a shit ton of gangs, right? But at least in nicer schools out here in the suburbs and things like that, kids are a bit more engaged. But I don't know if that kind of engagement is the same thing. Like, I don't know if it's like personal one-on-one, or if it's just kind of like, all right, kids, let's all get together and everybody grab a ball. You get the blue balls and the red balls, and and it's like everybody's included, but you really don't know any of these kids. I don't know. But I just really kind of stunned myself with it because I saw that kid. He killed those 3 old ladies, who had nothing to do with anything in that kid's life. He just shot them, gunned them down, and then wanted to get killed himself. And I just can't get my mind around it.
Though, I mean, it's just an easy out for them. These people don't want to. Maybe they want to commit suicide, but they just can't do it themselves. So they think, well, I'll just get somebody to do it for me.
So weird,
isn't it?
It is, man. I don't.
It's just, yeah. It's
death by cop. Oh, but don't kill innocent people. Then just go up to a cop and point a gun at him. He'll shoot you.
That's the thing. You see these videos and the people are like, shoot me. And the cop's like, I don't want to do that. And it's like, yeah, I don't think, it's like, that ain't fair, forcing somebody to kill you.
No.
No.
Like, so a lot of these guys, I think a lot of these guys have just got some help, and some conversation. I just think these people are super depressed or alone. I mean, obviously there's some people out there that are just bananas. They get, schizophrenic or whatever. But I think that a lot of these kids are in bad, I don't know, just a bad scene all around. Politicians don't seem to have any real answers. They just, the Democrats point to guns, the Republicans say to go to church. But at the end of the day, I feel like none of these things are leading us down a road of a real solution to the problem that, where we were from, let's say in the 80s and 90s, where this didn't really happen until Columbine did. And now, where it seems like it happens fairly frequently.
Every other day.
Yeah. That what are we doing wrong here? And I don't know. I don't have any answers to that, but I think that, there's a lot of politics at play trying to decide it. And I don't know if those are real solutions or just trying to move their personal agendas forward. And meanwhile, we keep losing kids, and maybe all it does is it just takes people to be a bit more involved somehow to engage with kids. And I it's a weird thing to say, like, in the sense of like, I can't be more involved with kids. You know what I mean? Like the stranger, I can't go to the school and be like, I'd like to talk to some children. Like, get the fuck out of here, or they throw me in jail for being a creep. I don't know how you have to be inside like the school systems, and the school systems are just fighting for money all the time. They don't have money for these things and that things and this sort of thing. And so, they're not going to pay for anything like that. And parents don't want to pay for things because they don't want to pass tax levies. And I don't blame them because, all these schools get way more money than they probably need. And the thing is it's like, I don't know how we solve it. I don't know how we solve it. I don't know if we can.
It's unsolvable.
We gotta we gotta come up with like, I think robots that, have X-ray vision. Right. Stand outside and just see somebody coming with a gun, kind of like Terminators type of thing. And then just like bolt into action and take out the intruder. I don't know. I have no idea.
Like Berserk.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just electrify all the doors and everything, and just prevent it. It's just, yeah. I don't know. Maybe the future will figure it all out for us or something.
No, there's no answer, because no matter what you do or what you say or laws or anything that you put into place, there are crazy people out there.
Yeah, but
it happens, and
yes.
it's just gonna keep going because there's no, you can't stop guns. You know what I mean?
Well,
you know.
I agree. I think though that I think
Basically everything that this country almost, well, I don't want to say everything that this country stands for, but the rules, the laws, the regulations, everything that they tried to build, quote unquote, build this country on was made during a time when people could do a handshake and that meant something. You know what I mean? And you would have somebody's word and people were like, this is how we're going to live. And everybody said, okay, that's how we're going to live. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, we're going to follow these rules and we're going to have a nice little society and all this stuff. But it doesn't matter because there's always going to be a group of people who are like, I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. I'm going to go do it. You know what I mean? And they're going to do their own thing. That's what free will is.
Right. Well, I think
God.
I think it doesn't always work, but like, I think when, we've had people like target the IRS, for instance. Some guy flew his plane into an IRS building. It was a small plane, though. It just banged into it. He died, and everything else was fine. And then you had the Oklahoma City bombing, right? Which wasn't the IRS. It was, was he trying to get ATF? I forget what it was.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that in the building. I mean, there was daycare in there, too, so that's terrible. But I think his end goal there was to try to get whatever that was inside the government officials that were inside that building. Again, if you want to die by, and he didn't, he goes to jail instead, but, if you want to die by doing something, for some sort of, political purpose, I can get a little bit more behind that idea, I guess. I just don't get the maniac, mass murder thing of children. I just don't get what's in it for you.
They're going in and
just doesn't seem to me like a good plan. Like, it's just, no one's looking at you. Yeah, I guess you don't care. I guess you just don't give a shit. I know. I'm glad there's not like the podcast murderers out there. You know what I mean? Like somebody going out and just rubbing out people that, are doing podcasts and stuff like that. Like,
that brings whole new meaning to Brian going, what? Oh my God. And then clicking out, and we'd all just be like, holy fuck, they got him.
Right. Yeah. It's like, oh. No, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like the Washington sniper guy. Remember, they were him and that wee boy Malvo. They were just going around and just sniping people, pumping gas and shit, and just like walking down the street and stuff like that. That's fucking crazy at a completely different level too. I mean, like, I don't know what their end game was. Like, how long were they going to do that? They must have known they'd get caught eventually. Can't just keep doing it. But that's, at least, I don't know. They're not just like, you know what, let's go in and just fucking machine gun down a bunch of children and shit. Like, it's just crazy. Anyway, I don't want to keep harping on it, but it's just something that baffles me. And I just was thinking about it today. I feel bad for all these people. I feel bad.
It's stupid. It's just dumb.
Yeah, it's dumb. Yeah. I mean, I get common sense, but yeah, I mean, it is. The thing is like, you almost wish like you could, in a way, I don't necessarily want these people in my life or anything, but you wish you could talk to these killers ahead of time and be like, listen, don't you want to know what the next Marvel series is going to be?
Right?
Like, there's going to be another Elder Scrolls coming out. Don't you want to play that? Do you want to play the new Diablo that's coming out too? Right? Yeah. Pantera's on tour. I mean, do you care about that? It's like there's all these things there's shit coming up.
Yeah.
There's things happening, man. There's shows on. They got to find out what's going to happen next. You're not going to, this shit's not going to be available for you if you're dead. I don't care about any of that shit. I'm telling you, man, you're going to miss out. We're all going to be having fun.
Right.
It's like there's a lot of shit to look forward to. People get all depressed, but they forget. It's like, and there's good food to eat.
Right.
Like
music you can listen to.
Like, if you're just like, what do you, like if you're just kill yourself by overeating. I mean, there's lots of like, just go for it then. Just be like, I don't give a fuck about dieting or nothing. I'm just gonna eat whatever the fuck I want and just. get whatever you want and chow down, man. Fucking eat pizza 3 days, 3 meals a day if that's what you want to do,
Do all kinds of drugs,
Yeah.
smoke shit, and fucking whatever you want.
Yeah. Fucking hey, there's like lots of fun shit you could do, man. Be a daredevil, Be fucking jumping out of buildings, with your parachute on and all that kind of shit.
Go bungee jumping.
Right. Fucking, and
you could die in all that shit.
Right. And, you can do all kinds of crazy shit that, risk your life doing. And if you, maybe you get a rush out of it. Maybe you survive. You're like, shit, I made it, you know? I guess I'll have to do something even more fucking dangerous. I think I'll try to jump my motorcycle over 14 cars,
Yeah.
Rock on, man.
Jump the Grand Canyon.
You might have fun while you're trying to kill yourself that way. I don't know.
Yeah, as opposed to just like crying to yourself in the basement with a gun in your mouth.
Right. Or
not that I'm suggesting that for anybody.
No, or even that, like, it's okay. Is in the sense of, just don't kill other people over it, like you would make it statement a different way.
Well, yeah. Don't take, other people don't.
Like, I don't know. He had a parachute on. we were flying over the volcano and he was supposed to parachute around it. He just never deployed a chute. He went right into the volcano.
He just said something like yippee-ki-yay and then dove. I don't know.
We got it on film. It's pretty awesome. But he's somewhere in the lava.
Thing is, he survived. You had to pull him out. But, yeah.
That's fucked up. All right. Last 9 minutes or 8 minutes. Why don't you talk a little bit about Ant-Man, the movie? What did you like it?
Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was, it's just, you look at it and you're like, okay, Ant-Man can shrink and can get tall and he's going to fight this dude that time traveled from the future with technology from the future. And he's just going to beat him, sure, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But hey, I guess they kind of made it work and it was kind of interesting. It was just, it's a lot of that, I was thinking about this the other day in like these movies and TV shows and stuff like that, where they do this thing where it's like, there's a secret, right? There's like somebody has a secret, but you don't know who, and you don't know why, you don't know what it is or whatever. And for the longest time, everybody just keeps going, what is it? And they're like, you don't want to know. And it's like, no, we got to know, like, what is going on here? And they're just like, I can't tell you. And it's like, the fuck, you can't tell me, like.
Yeah, especially when like they make a big fucking deal of I cannot tell you, you know what I mean? And I have learned to pay attention to when they do reveal, because they're going to. And, and I want to hear their reason, why. And it's usually the most bullshit, stupid reason. And you're like, you want the other characters to be like, you held it back for that.
Right.
They never go there. They're just like, they just like sort of accept it and everything. And you're just like, this is bullshit. I would have been pissed,
Right.
But yeah, no, I get it. 100%.
It's like if you would have said even half of this while we were asking, we would have been like, okay.
Yeah, we could have saved people's lives and, the buildings wouldn't have been destroyed and shit. Well, I just felt uncomfortable with people. I made a promise.
You're right. They're just looking at him. They're like, you have to trust me. And it's like, I can't do that. Yeah. Like, what is going on?
Such a shitty trope. That and the one where the bad guy reveals their plan to the guy, classic trope,
Before I kill you, I'm going to tell you everything I'm going to do.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why I did it and everything. Like, fucking leave them in silence. Let's leave it open-ended.
What?
Tell somebody else what you're doing.
Like, what's his face from Austin Powers, the kid from Austin Powers? Like, why don't you just shoot him?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, he's tied up. He's in the chair. Give me the gun. I'll do it.
Yeah. So true. Yeah.
But it was an all right movie. It was okay.
It was okay.
Yeah,
I feel like it's another one that just kind of has run its course, though. I mean, I'm sure there probably will be another Ant-Man because the first one was so big.
There can't be.
You think so? That's it? It's done?
So,
I
I
mean,
mean,
I think all of these things they'll come back around at some point and reimagine them and re-release them, but it'll be in the distant future kind of thing. Like it won't be right away, but it's not like, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be the only guy that ever played Iron Man. Like it's not going to happen. Like,
right.
movies get dated. They're going to make another Iron Man down the road.
Right.
And that, and just whatever. But I feel like a lot of those movies, like, have been kind of, the Marvel movies have been kind of, feeling like petered out. I guess, Guardians of the Galaxy just came out and I read the reviews. I didn't see it yet, third one, and they seem sort of lukewarm. They're like an 80%. It's not bad, right? It's pretty good, really. If you go see a movie, 80% on the RT. But basically it's probably the worst of the three, which doesn't sound good to me because, I didn't feel great about the second one. Larry loved the second one. I thought it was okay. I like Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
I like Kurt.
The second one wasn't that good.
Just, and I realized though for them, because they were in the Avengers films, and making cameos on other stuff, that it's been a much longer road. You know what I mean? It's a lot more movies kind of thing. Yeah. But, if you're just looking at that particular series, it's like you get like 3 films. And then they're basically done. But they were also Guardians of the Galaxy. The Guardians, I mean, that nobody was expecting that to be made into a film. It worked out for them, significantly. But nobody was thinking that was coming. Like, who the fuck are the Guardians of the Galaxy? You know what I mean? And, yeah. And
the first one was really good. My girlfriend's daughter just went and saw it the other day. She was like, "Did you see it yet?" I was like, "No." And she goes, "It was really good." And I was like,
"Yeah, I think it's good for some people, but I also think that it's like what worries me is like, and I don't think it's Marvel purists that have a problem with it. I think the whole thing is like, from what I'm reading, is that it's like a big group hug. It's like everybody's kind of,
saying goodbye to this.
Yeah,
team.
it's like real feel good moment kind of thing. This one guy wrote it. He said, he goes, "It's the best Marvel film in the last 5 years. And then there's 40 extra minutes of garbage," or something like that. And I was like, all right. So I think like maybe the beginning is great. And then the rest of it is maybe just kind of, who knows? I don't know, whatever.
When it comes out on Disney Plus, I'll watch it.
Yeah, I almost need like a guide to tell me, because I'm old and I forget and I can't keep watch. I don't watch these movies repeatedly. I don't know what the plans are for all the characters. Like there's probably something online. Like I know you can see like the movies, right? Like, this movie's coming and this movie's coming, etc. But I'd almost like to have a list of all of the movie characters that we've seen so far and be able to like look them up and be like, okay, so Doctor Strange, right? Like, what are they doing with him? Is Cumberbatch coming back in another Doctor Strange? Or is he done? Or, you know what I mean? Like, that's, yeah, right? Like, what's the word on him? I don't know. And then the other thing is it's like Disney has, we've talked about this, we know that they're making a new Daredevil, right? And probably going to make another Jessica Jones. But the Punisher, I don't know if you can keep making a series about that guy. Like, I almost feel like he needs a good movie. But I don't know if I need, it's kind of like the Batman thing. I don't know if I need the origin story again with the Punisher. I don't need to know, that his family was killed by the mob on a picnic. But I would like to see maybe some a bigger budget type of thing with the Punisher in the film, and I think he might be able to carry it because with these John Wick things, which are basically just fucking nonstop killing machine films. Like the John Wick is what the Punisher could have been basically. It's just a nonstop killing machine kind of thing, and like that. But I don't know. I could look him up, and I don't know what he's out of. What's Frank Castle doing? I don't know.
I don't know, but I he's coming back in Daredevil, but
well, okay. Yes.
I don't know
They'll
if it would.
probably make a show out of him again. I just don't know how many shows you can do about a guy that has a whole shit ton of weapons and is going to kill like the local gang kind of thing. Like I mean, give me. I guess what I'm saying is give me a little more depth, and I'll be with you on it. You know, it's just like the last ones they're good, but I think like that guy, I forget his name, that's playing the Punisher. He's carrying a lot of it. You know, like he's carrying that the story's kind of weak, and
Well, there's that, but like you're saying though, there doesn't need to be much story because he's not a superhero.
no,
He doesn't have, you know what I mean?
no,
He's not fighting super villains. He's, you know what I mean? He's a regular guy who's just gunning down criminals. He's an underworld,
right, but you
know,
got to
kind of
do it
thing.
in a way that it's not boring, right? And
Yeah.
there's a lot of movies do things like this, and they're dull as shit.
You could do him in a series. I think putting him in a series, maybe not like 13 episodes like they did because it kind of stretched a bit, but 8, 9, something like that. You could do like a 9-episode series, with 2 or 3 arcs in it, connecting stories that, oh, I'm going to help this person do this. Oh, it gets him into bigger trouble. Oh, now it moves into, you know what I mean? The classic stuff, the classic moves. I think that would be better for that character as opposed to trying to be like, okay, here's 2 hours. We're going to tell you the story.
Yeah, I think also just, the thing is, which I think would make it a slightly more interesting, is the fact that like John Wick is just, you haven't seen it, but it's really well choreographed, right? And that's really what makes it really entertaining. It's these long scenes of like action, long, not just scenes, but like long cuts, so they're like holding the camera on, in these battles with both hand to hand, vehicles, guns that, it's almost like watching a dance performance because it's just constantly, keeps going, within the same cut. And, so that makes it really entertaining to watch. They do some really interesting and really cool things with camera work, but like, I think, go ahead.
I was going to say you blacked out there for about 10, 15 seconds. So I had no idea what you were
That's right. So because I mean, I was just talking about John Wick and how it was interesting and the way it was choreographed.
Oh, right.
And the thing is that like, I think though it might make the Punisher, because I don't think you're going to be able to repeat that. But what might make the Punisher more interesting is almost like if we got in on like, if you read the comics, and you see maybe the earlier films and stuff like that, yes, he has a bunch of guns, but he also sets up a lot of traps. He sets up a lot of ways out for himself. He has allies and things like that, but he also, isn't just like a guy that takes a beating and then gets out and beats other people up. He uses his brain, and he uses training to create all kinds of, booby traps and
chaos.
Yeah. And I think that if we could see, and they do this in some films, right? But if we could see the setup, while it's happening, the things he's doing, et cetera, and then watching them unfold, there's a more satisfying payoff to a lot of that. Right. Okay. And that would make it a lot more like the comic book and then a lot more interesting, et cetera. But anyway, listen, we're out of time.
Oh,
1 hour and 2 minutes in. We didn't do a show last week, folks. I was busy. I almost didn't do a show this week because last night was my yearly disaster recovery event at work, and I was up until 5 a.m. Working. And then I went to sleep, and I woke up at 2, and I wasn't feeling the best. But I said, you know what? Got to do a show. Can't not do a show 2 weeks in a row.
The world needs you.
Right. I am going to be going camping. I'm going to Classic Fest in Nelson's Ledges on the weekend of like the 16th, 17th, 18th, something like that. So we won't be doing a show that weekend. And so we'll do one, and I'll remind you when it happens. Yeah. I'm going to a Classic Rock Fest where there's going to be about, I don't know, 15 bands or 16 bands playing classic rock pretty much all day and night, right?
Yeah.
Every kind of cover band you can think of classic rock, There's even a Jethro Tull band. There's a guy out there playing the flute.
No need.
And I'll tell you what, I don't like classic rock very much. Like I like some stuff because everybody likes some stuff. And but I don't like the stuff that you hear on the radio all the time because I've been hearing the same songs since I was, in a diaper basically, and they've been playing them nonstop. Like nobody ever needs to hear Born to Be Wild again. Like ever. I don't need, like Kiss has a huge library of songs. I don't need to hear Rock and Roll All Night or whatever. Like I don't need to hear those songs. But like
I don't need to see a Pink Floyd tribute band.
No, I don't need to hear Money by Pink Floyd. Right. You know what I'm saying. Like there's those songs. I don't need Tom Sawyer to play by Rush ever again. Ever. It's a great song. I don't need to hear it. I have heard it. I've heard it enough times. I don't need to hear it anymore. Rush has a huge catalog. Play other shit. And then I would be fine. And but it's just like I know I won't get that at this. This is going to be all their fucking hits, and my brain's going to be leaking out of my ears. So hopefully, I'm going to find other things to do at this campground. I'm going with friends, so that's all. It's camping with some friends, party, have a good time, and I'm not going to sit there with a frown on my face. I'll be fine listening to Tom Sawyer and Kashmir by Led Zeppelin and everything.
Stairway to Heaven.
Yes, Stairway. I mean, that's what I'll be. I'm not a party pooper, but in the back of my brain, I'm just going to be thinking like, don't need to ever hear this song again. Don't need to hear it. Yeah. Don't need to hear "Keep on Rocking in the Free World." I don't.
Oof.
Just please, no more. All right, everybody. Thanks. We'll be back next week. Talk to you.
Peace.
You've been listening to Oblast with Don and Kevin. If you'd like to write into the show, send an email to oblast@vgn.us. That is VGN as in Video Game News. And be sure to check out our Patreon page, which is at patreon.com/VGN, where you can get all of our shows, our videos, and some musings. Be sure to tune in each week for new episodes on our Patreon page or every other week on the public RSS feed that you're subscribed to now. Thanks for listening, and good night.
Peace.